Hey guys, it's Ross Scott on the Space Couch today. I had a few days off from filming, just doing other bits, but we're going to get back into this. We're going to take a look at Boolio and Klaud, two of the new characters that were introduced in episode 9. And here they are. There's Klaud and there's Boolio. Obviously, he gets his head cut off and it's thumped down onto the table in front of Supreme Leader Ren. And this guy is just oozing all over the Falcon. So let's have a read of the text and see what it says, and then we'll see what it says about the two of them specifically. And obviously R2-D2 is included in this spread also. And there you see the Sinter colony, and that's in the mid-rim. It is on the updated Galactic Atlas. It took me ages to find it because it wasn't very obvious. But let's see what it says about the intelligence mission, which is at the start of the film. So, while Rey concentrates on her Jedi studies, her companions are sent on an assignment far from Adjan Kloss. Aboard the Millennium Falcon, Poe Dameron, Finn, Chewbacca and R2-D2 are joined by a helpful, if hapless, Troder-tome named Klaud as they soar through the Sinter Glacier colony. There, a Resistance ally promises valuable intelligence in the war effort against the First Order. It is a risky mission, as Sinter has always been subjected to First Order patrols. Dameron squeezes the Falcon through the carved passageways in the floating ice chunk to make face-to-face contact with an agent who doesn't trust making any transmission. So let's just see what it says about Klaud here. He's got a very kindly face. Klaud. Klaud's eagerness to help the Resistance expresses itself in his keen mind and a talent for the mechanical, particularly in giving new life to antiquated systems. He joins the Millennium Falcon crew when the Sinter mission is originally believed to be a parts pickup. When it turns out to be an intelligence operation, complete with TIE fighter pursuit, he feels understandably overwhelmed, and we see his prehensile sensory antenna, which are all of these. Expressive mouth speaks complex language, and I have to admit it took me a while to understand what he was saying, and I think I only understood some of his words, not everything. It's a bit like Babu Frick, where it takes you a while to tune into what they're saying. So, he's got a well-muscled, undulating trunk. Don't we all have an undulating trunk these days? And then at the bottom, fluke terminates in flopping flippers. Too much alliteration, so there's his flippers here. So let's see what it's saying about R2-D2. R2 is making up for lost time, having spent years in low-power isolation during Luke Skywalker's self-imposed exile. The plucky astromech has recently returned to flight missions, flying aboard Poe Dameron's X-Wing. BB-8 has been helpful in giving R2 advice about his master's piloting preferences and personal peculiarities. On the Sinter mission, R2-D2 once again becomes a repository of sensitive data as the Resistance contact spools out a physical network cable to plug into the droid and transfer the intelligence. This data is added to R2's teeming memory banks, which already contain Death Star plans, maps to ancient Jedi temples, and backups of C-3PO systems. So we see his primary photoreceptor here. And what's the other bit it says? The holographic projector, of course, there. So R2's timeline. 66 BSI before Starkiller incident. Voyage to Tatooine in Queen Amidala's service meets C-3PO. 56 BSI serves with Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars. 53 BSI becomes part of the Royal House of Alderaan, Alderaa's droid pool. 34 BSI carries the Death Star plans and joins Luke Skywalker. 5 BSI goes into low power mode. 0 BSI revived upon hearing mention of the map to Luke Skywalker, and same time period travels to Acto with Rey and reunited with Luke. Subject R2-D2, plan of construction believed to be Naboo, manufacture industrial automaton, type astromech, affiliation resistance, height 1.08 metres, age unknown, at least 66 standard years. R2-D2's long lifespan of uninterrupted operation without memory wipes has led to the evolution of a distinct, sophisticated personality. His friends are grateful for his initiative, which has saved the day many times. So now we will have a look at what it says about Boolio. A good-natured Ovisian working as a mine overseer at the Sinter Glacier colony, Boolio is sympathetic to the Resistance, finding a way to covertly divert surplus minerals to Resistance-friendly transports. A discrepancy in the ledger brought First-Order inspectors to the mine, and Boolio thought his time was up. Instead, the inspectors left without comment, and he found a data file had been left on his office datapad. He was able to authenticate it as a message from a First-Order officer, I wonder who, high-ranking from the look of the ciphers, promising game-changing intelligence. Unable to decrypt it further, Boolio contacted the Resistance via intermediaries to hand-deliver the data. So, we see here the greater of two pairs of polyceret horns. There. Green complexion matches copper-rich blood. Lesser horn juts from mandible. So there's his greater horns and there's his lesser horns. I thought they meant these separately at first. Personal temperature control unit for low temperature work suit, which is this. Wrist mounted comlink and data storage unit. That. And what's this about his strap here? Ice abseiling harness. And he has an insulated suit lined with heat conductive filaments, which is the rest of his outfit. So let's see the rest of the information. What's that little bit about Sinter? The massive chunk of ice that forms the Sinter Glacier is billions of years old. In the last millennium or so, the rogue ice chunk, once the heart of a megacomet, has been caught by the gravitational pull of the Sinter star, easing into a stable and predictable orbit. That's not how comets work. The mining colony on the glacier extracts ice cores from the heart of the icy structure that have trace amounts of malsar, a mineral used in the manufacture of droids, communications and electronics. There is also a side racket in selling the discarded meltwater to the gullible, who believe it has rejuvenating qualities. Now, Boolio originally promised the Resistance a regulator needed to repair the Tantive 4, as he could not risk revealing the intelligence that he was privy to. Poe beats a hasty retreat from the Sinter Glacier by hyperspace skipping the Falcon through a quick succession of deep space obstacles, including the megafauna chasm of the Typhonic Nebula, the mirror spires of Evexia, and the crystal chaos of Cardovite. Yeah, so subject Boolio, homeworld Sinter 4, species Evician, affiliation Resistance secretly. Height 1.7 metres, age 34 standard years. So there is the spread on Boolio and Klaud and R2-D2 with a little bit about the Sinter Glacier colony thrown in. I wish there'd been more in this about the Sinter colony. I wish there'd been more about this, about a lot of things from that film that aren't in there. But hey, this is the one we got. I'll have to do a comparison of all of the Disney era visual dictionaries at some point. But for now, guys, that is just what the visual dictionary for The Rise of Skywalker has to say about the intelligence mission. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for a common topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.